Hey there friends, it's Steph from Squishy & Co. And today's video is an introduction to Tapestry Crochet. We are going to be making this cute little coaster, and you'll be able to find the chart that I'm using on my blog at squishyandco.com, and I'll have that linked down below for you. You might also want to check out my video shown above on how to change colors, and we're going to be using that technique a lot in this video. This tutorial is going to focus on just the most basic skills, which is reading the chart, changing colors, and carrying your yarn. We are going to be cutting our yarn at the end of each row and joining it back at the beginning, because when you work in turned rows, there's kind of an additional technique of how to carry your yarn and on which side, and I wanted to just keep this nice and simple. Also, cutting our yarn will allow us to easily make this cute fringed edge, and that also means that you don't have to weave in a single end. To start off, let's take a look at how to read our Tapestry Crochet chart. So each block indicates a single crochet stitch, and they're also color coded so you know when to switch colors. This chart begins in the bottom right hand corner, and you will read each row from right to left. This chart does coordinate with the actual colors I'm using, but you can easily substitute for any colors you may want to use. You'll just need to decide which one is your main color and which one is your contrasting color. So let's take a look at how to read this. Our first row, and actually all of our rows, will have 21 single crochets, and our first row is going to be all made in our main color. The second row will have 3 single crochets in our main color, 3 single crochets in our contrasting color, and then we'll repeat that pattern all the way to the end. If you look at row 4, we would work 5 single crochets in our main color, 11 single crochets in our contrasting color, and 5 more in our main color. So you'll just continue reading the chart, working 1 single crochet for each block in the color that's indicated. I am using 2 colors of cotton worsted weight yarn and a G-hook. I like to go down in hook size a little bit when doing tapestry crochet because it helps keep our stitches tight and hide that carried yarn. To begin, we need to chain 22 using our main color. Here we have our 22 chains. Now the chart tells us that the first row is worked all in the main color, but we still need to carry our contrasting yarn with us. We're going to do this on every row, even if it's only in one color, and that's going to ensure that our piece is the same thickness all the way throughout. Insert your hook in the second chain from the hook. Take your contrasting yarn and lay it over your hook, making sure that the tail end is off to the right, and that you're leaving yourself about a 4 to 6 inch tail. This is going to make tying your fringe off later a lot easier. Single crochet over top of that contrasting yarn, and that's your first stitch. Next, insert your hook in the next chain, making sure that your carried yarn is always on top of your hook. If you drop it down below, you're not going to be working over top of it, and then you're going to see these floats in the back. So contrasting yarn over our hook, and then single crochet as usual. Again, insert your hook. Contrasting yarn is over top, and single crochet. Okay, so we will continue this all the way across, and you can see that this carried yarn is coming from inside your stitch, and that is exactly what we want. So I will meet you at the end to show you how to finish off your row. Single crochet in the last stitch and chain 1 to secure it. Cut your yarn tail, leaving about 6 inches again, and go ahead and cut your contrasting yarn as well. So here is our first row, and I want you to take a look at the back of your piece. So you may have these wonky loops of your carried yarn sticking out, and this is due to the tension of that carried yarn. We'll pay more attention to this in the next row, but since this one runs all the way through the row, we can simply pull on that contrasting yarn, and you'll see that that gets rid of all of these crazy lumps and bumps. Now for row 2 and the rest of the piece, we are going to work our first and last single crochets as normal, and then the rest of the ones in between will be worked into the back loop only. That is going to help us stack our pattern a little more vertically so you get nice clean patterns. Taking a look at row 2, we're going to work 3 single crochets in our main, 3 single crochets in our contrasting, and then we'll repeat that across. Since we will be creating a fringe and tying knots anyway, I'm just going to begin with a slip knot on my hook. Insert your hook under both loops of the first stitch. Grab your contrasting color. Again, we're going to lay it over top of our hook with the cut side over to the right, leaving a 4 to 6 inch tail. Grab your working yarn and complete the first single crochet. Now we will begin working into the back loops only. Insert your hook into the back loop, making sure that our carried yarn is on top of our hook, and single crochet. We need one more single crochet in our main color before we switch, and it's important to remember that the color change will always happen as the last step of your current color. So what I mean is insert your hook, always underneath our carried yarn, draw up a loop. You have 2 loops on your hook, drop your current color, switch to your contrasting color, yarn over, and pull through both loops. So now you have 1 loop on your hook in the new color, and that's going to become the top of your next stitch. Continuing on, insert your hook in the back loop of the next stitch, making sure we're bringing that yarn with us always. Single crochet. We'll do that again. And we know at the end of this next stitch we need to change colors, but we're going to take a look at our tension before we do that. So again, we will insert our hook, draw up a loop. Now before we finish this off with the new color, we're going to take a look at the back. And if you have any funky loops or anything sticking out, you can just pull your unused color, the color that we're carrying with us, and that is going to straighten out your stitches. Now complete your single crochet with the new color, and we will continue on that way. You always want to make sure that you adjust your loops in the back, if there are any, before you switch colors. Once you've switched, it's locked in and you can't fix it after that. One thing that I find to be helpful in controlling my tension is to take my carried yarn and just lay it flat against the back of my piece. And so I'm just going to work all the way across with it held right there to the back. Make like a little sandwich. Switch colors. And we'll continue on. Now you may notice that you get this really stretched out stitch. And what I like to do is go ahead and work the next stitch. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that contrasting yarn, or the unused yarn I should say, and that is going to straighten out our stitch so that it is more uniform with the others. Again, switching colors, making sure we don't have any loops. And we'll continue this all the way across. Again, on our last stitch, we will work it into both loops, making sure our contrasting or carried yarn is over top of our hook. Complete our single crochet, chain 1, and cut our work. Okay, here's the end of row 2. So continue on reading the chart, joining your yarn at the right side each time, and playing with your tension to try to keep that as even as possible in the back. We'll meet back here and I'll show you how to finish off your piece. So here we have our finished piece, and now we just need to tie off the fringe. I've already done it on one side, but just to show you, I like to take 3 of the tails and I just tie a simple knot, making sure that knot is right up next to the edge before you pull it tight. And then you will just continue on grabbing 3 strands, tying it off. And once you're done with that, the last step is simply to cut your fringe to the length that you like. You can do it as long or as short as you like. I do like to use a big pair of scissors if you have that, maybe even some, dare I say, fabric scissors. Using the little ones totally works, but it's a little harder to keep your edges straight. Once you are done, you can always fold your piece in half. And if the fringe is a little wonky or not quite as straight as you would like, you can just give it an additional little trim. I have even seen some people who brush out their edges to give it a nice frayed look, and it's super cute. I like it. And there we have a cute tapestry crochet coaster. Again, you can find the chart on my blog at squishyandco.com, and there's a link directly to the post below. Be sure to leave me a comment with any questions, or just let me know what colors you decided to use. As always, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.